Yeah, and the Rebels have been playing really well this season, Rachel. A few miles down south, Chris Beard and the Rebels are trying to prove that Ole Miss is not just a basketball school. The 16th ranked Rebels are now 11-1 and capped off a 5-game winning streak with an 80-62 win over Queens College this weekend. Ole Miss's high-powered, fast-paced offense is averaging 81 points per game and nearly 18 assists, while only allowing 63 points per game. The Rebels will face Memphis this weekend, arguably their toughest test of the season so far.
And I think that's kind of where you have to start this conversation. It really is probably going to be their toughest test of the season because they have not played a lot of quality teams this year. Right. We've seen them play Louisville, BYU, both quad 1 games, and they were wins over those two teams. They did lose to number 12 Purdue, the only ranked team that they have played so far. But they have 7 quad 4 wins.
Yeah.
Which is their strength of schedule just isn't there. And so when you look at like the numbers they're putting up, you're like, okay, yeah, Ole Miss looks like a really good team. And look, they are a good team. There's no question about that. They're ranked right now number 16 in the AP polls. But how are they going to go against a team like Memphis?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it there. They have 7 quad 4 wins. Memphis have played 1 game against Ohio in quad 4 and, of course, won. Ole Miss is 2-1 against quad 1 teams. One of those wins coming against Louisville, the other one coming against BYU, and then they lost to Purdue. And they only lost to Purdue by 2 points. Memphis has proven itself as a team that can essentially beat pretty much anyone in the country at their best. Ole Miss have not done that yet. They had a chance against Purdue and fell by 2 points. This will be Ole Miss's toughest test of the season. They're going to be up for it. Ole Miss picked up the win last year in Oxford. A lot of those guys were on the team. They want to continue that. Meanwhile, at Memphis, only one of those guys, Nick Jourdain, was on that team last year. So this team is not going to – is this going to be Tyrese Hunter is losing sleep because Memphis lost to Ole Miss last year? No. Tyrese Hunter and P.J. Haggerty hopefully are going to get up for this game in Colby Rogers because they're playing an SEC opponent and they just got their butts whipped by another SEC opponent. You go 2-0 against ACC teams, and you go 0-2 against SEC teams, 0-3 against SEC teams. That's a bad look. And Jeff Goodman said this as well on Twitter. He's talking about looking at Memphis as a whole, saying he still doesn't trust the Tigers, but they're in good shape. They can't have any slip-ups in the AAC. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be able to have a little bit of a cushion of one loss because it's still D1 college basketball. You could slip up and lose to Wichita State, right?
And also because all those teams coming in, like Memphis keeps saying, is we're the hunted now. We're not the hunters when it gets to conference play. So that's a whole other level.
They're the hunted this weekend, too.
100%, yeah. It's a lot.
Chris Beard is telling his team, we haven't truly been tested yet, I'm sure. And we're going to show it against this team. Chris Beard is a type of coach that wants to beat Penny Hardaway. He wants to come into Memphis and get a win. He's won these types of games his entire career. Texas Tech, Texas, now Ole Miss, picking up big wins on the road. Memphis, hopefully there will be a home crowd advantage. There was against Mississippi State. And the crowd did stay through some of the second half, but eventually left. But they were quiet, and they didn't have anything to cheer about against Mississippi State. You heard the maroon and white chants from the Mississippi State fans throughout that game.
They were starting in the first half, those chants.
Yeah.
It was honestly, it's like for me, that was my first experience in FedEx Forum for the Tigers with a really packed crowd. I remember sitting there up the top being like, wow, there is a lot of people in this stadium right now ready to cheer on the Tigers. And those first couple of possessions, you heard everyone getting into it. I was like, okay, we have a game on our hands. Like if this goes down to the wire, it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. And then obviously it turns into a blowout and it ends up feeling like a Mississippi State home game instead of a Tigers home game. It's going to be interesting to see how the fans turn out kind of moving forward for this game against Ole Miss. You hope that it's going to be a similar crowd, but we've seen Tiger fans drop off in the past. And to an extent, I understand it because I think Jeff Goodman tweeted, just when you start believing in the Tigers, they give that. And it's hard as a fan. If you're a fan, you're watching them and you're like, oh my God, my team's ranked again, let's go. And then all of a sudden it's like, and they just got blown out. Yeah. It's hard to support that. But like Penny Hardaway said post-game, your fans are meant to be there through the good and the bad. And that's what Memphis need right now, is for those fans to be like, okay, that was a rough one, but we need to be there to support them because there's no way that Memphis is going to be able to go in and have a great game if they don't have that crowd support. They need that crowd support.
Memphis are really going to have to turn the tide. I mean, going into a couple weeks ago, going into that Louisiana Tech game, Memphis was top 40 in the country in defensive rating. Now they're 131st. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is 42nd, sitting there, 19th in defensive rating, sitting there in a really good spot. I looked at the wrong one. Memphis is 291 defensive rating in the country, which is absolutely awful. 131st offensive rating. They were top 40 going into that Louisiana Tech game. Meanwhile, Ole Miss is 42nd. Ole Miss are averaging almost 17 assists a game. Meanwhile, Memphis are averaging 12. And they didn't even get to that against Mississippi State. Memphis are going to have to move the ball like they did against UConn. That ball needs to be rotating around. We talk about it with the Grizzlies, and we see how it's working with them. That same type of mindset, the Tigers need to have that this weekend, because Ole Miss are not going to give you any space. They're defensively much similar to Mississippi State. They don't trap like Mississippi State does, but Mississippi State will play very, very aggressive man defense and even split to a zone when it's deemed necessary. And even though they don't have a lot of big men, they've got a young guy, Klofke, and then Malik Dia kind of anchoring that paint. Those two guys, mainly Malik Dia, are very good defenders. And when you were talking about earlier, trying to figure out Dane Dange's what his role is on this team, going up against somebody like Malik Dia, who seems like his back has been against the wall all season long, and he's answered the bell, is not going to be easy. Ole Miss is a very, very good defensive team, and they're the type of team where Southern hung around with them 2 games ago. Queens College hung around with them until the second half, and you're watching these games, and then all of a sudden you look up and they're up by 15 because those teams can't buy a bucket. And every team this season, even though they haven't played that many great teams, have had to rely on one guy. And so they know how to play against one player. Meanwhile, Purdue, you had multiple guys getting double digits in that game. They were able to limit BYU's top scorer, really isolate him, and they were able to do the same thing against Louisville. It's going to be a similar game plan that they had against BYU, Purdue, and Louisville against Memphis. They're going to try to limit P.J. Haggerty. They're going to try to keep him from getting in the paint, putting up foul shots, and they're going to try to limit Colby Rogers and Tyrese Hunter, similarly to what Mississippi State were doing. Because what Mississippi State were doing essentially was, okay, they were letting P.J. drive, but they were also edging out onto the perimeter to disallow those three-point shots. And they did it very, very well while still not allowing anything inside for P.J. Haggerty, anything easy. I think Ole Miss are going to do the same thing. And if Colby Rogers goes 0 of 8, if he goes 1 of 7, Memphis will lose this game. Colby's going to have to do something, unless Dane Danger gets up for like he did a couple weeks ago, gets around 20 points. Somebody else is going to have to do it besides Tyrese Hunter and P.J. Haggerty. And the last time we said this, it happened. So, hopefully that happens again. But Ole Miss, I think, is offensively better than Mississippi State. I think they're an overall better team. Memphis's backs are against the wall. It does not look like Memphis are going to win this game. But I think they turn the tide. They go back home, spend Christmas with their family, get some much-needed rest, come back to practice, and then pick up a win.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me when I look at this game, and really what's going to be a lot of these games for the Tigers as they get to the AAC championship and then obviously the NCAA tournament, hopefully, is the depth when we look at the Tigers. And we've talked about it a lot, is they just don't have that depth. And it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to bring in any players moving forward. You were looking at P.J. Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter. PJ's got 443 minutes so far. Tyrese Hunter has 420 minutes so far. They're top 50 in the country in the amount of minutes they're playing. That's just too many minutes. They need someone to be able to come off the bench and be able to put in those minutes. Whereas you look at Ole Miss, and that roster is deep. Yes, they only have 4 guys scoring and averaging in double digits as well, but they've got so many other guys that are right there on the cusp, and I think that's the big difference for me moving into this game is they can just kind of keep rotating people in and out. And you saw Matt Morrell come back from injury. He missed the last 3 games. He had a really good showing on the weekend against Queens, only played 23 minutes. That was on purpose because he's coming back from that injury. But he had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Chris Beard said post-game he just picked up exactly where he left off, which is really hard to do when you're going out for that many games. But to have him come back into the fold right ahead of Memphis, that's tough for Memphis. And that's when you talk about that depth that you need to see from Memphis. You need to see Colby Rogers really step up and start knocking down some of those shots. You need to see Dane, Musa, Nicholas Jourdain. I feel like he's been really quiet lately. Yeah. You need to see more from him as well.
We've been pretty easy on Nicholas Jourdain, to be honest with you. Because defensively and offensively, he's looked lost in some of these games. when they've looked at their best, he's looked really on, but definitely need more from Jourdain. Also, Matthew Morrell, Whitehaven's own Matthew Morrell, he's going to get up for this game. This will be his final game where he gets to play in FedEx Forum for Ole Miss. His whole family's going to be out there. He has a big family that supports him, so there's going to be a lot of Matthew Morrell chants this weekend.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a cracking game no matter what happens this weekend. Saturday at FedEx Forum, Ole Miss and Memphis, a showdown, both of their last games in conference play.
We need a prediction. We don't do enough predictions on this show. I say Memphis by 10.
By 10?
By 10.
Okay, I don't know who I've got winning, but it's a 2-point game. It's going down to the wire.
No, you have to say it.
I don't know. I think it could go either way. It's a 2-point game. It's a flip of a coin at that point.
This is how next week, it probably will go down to that. See, I say 10 points because if I'm right, Rachel's like, maybe he is a genius. But if it's 2 points, she could be like, look, see, I told you. I mean, it was 3 points last year. It was 77 to 80 last year. And so, yeah, very similar team to how they played last year, too.